and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law, LLC. Sit back for the next half hour as host Steve-O interviews top experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Steve-O offers such educational topics as community association law, family law, chiropractic care, employment law, healthcare law, and public insurance adjusting. Interviews by top experts in their field. And now, here's your host, Steve-O.
Hi, good evening, everybody in South Florida. Even all of you who are listening online in New York. We get emails all the way from New York and, of course, on the west side of Florida. People listening to iHeart. This is the Ask the Expert show. I'm your host, Steve-O. We're with you every Thursday night from 6 to 7. This is our 7th year. We are on stations 1470 AM, 96.9 FM, 103.5 FM. And tonight's show, listen, if you have a timeshare, if you have your parents who have a timeshare, or friends, and they want to get out of their timeshare, we might have a way for you. We have an authority, an attorney from the Finn Law Group, Andy Meyer, attorney Andy Meyer, who this is what he deals in, are helping people get out of their timeshares. Good evening, Andy.
Good evening, Steve. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Andy's actually doing shows with us across the country. And I said to him, I said, hey, if you get tired, we'll run a replay. And he said, no, I love doing the show. And I got to tell you, I love doing this show because listen, Andy, with the way the economy is right now, with the pandemic, people getting sick, people dying, there's a lot of people who own timeshares. And I didn't realize it until we started with the show. So let's start off. You're with the firm Finn Law Group. Let's start off. Tell us about your law firm.
Sure. So Finn Law Group has been around since 2011, and we've been helping people get out of their timeshare. That's our focus, timeshare law. There's not a lot of attorneys around the country that specialize in this area, and it's surprising because it is actually a relatively complicated area of the law. There's a lot to it, and I don't think people realize just how complex a timeshare interest can be. You know, you go to a sales presentation, and obviously the salespeople emphasize all the benefits of ownership and why you might want to buy a timeshare. But you'll recall at that sales presentation at the end, you got quite the thick stack of documents that you had to sign and look over. And that is the indication of a very complex legal transaction that you've obligated yourself to. And this is what we help people understand and get their arms around when that time comes, for a whole host of reasons why they might want to try to get out of that timeshare. As you said, Steve, sometimes people have financial problems. Sometimes they get sick, or they just can't travel anymore, and there's all kinds of reasons why they might want to get out of the timeshare. And I think people find often that it's not quite so easy.
Hey, like now more than ever, I would think. But like you were talking about the size of the contract. I bet you they don't want you taking that contract with you to have your attorney look at it.
That's right. So timeshares are a today only type product. Nobody goes on a vacation thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to take this vacation and come home with a timeshare. That's not how it works. Typically, what happens is you've been enticed to attend a timeshare presentation, you either get discounted tickets or maybe a free stay, but the condition is you've got to listen to the timeshare presentation. And of course, the folks who give the presentation are skilled salespeople, and they're good at their job. And so you find yourself at the tail end of it now with a timeshare. What'll happen is you'll go through the process, you'll sign the documents, you'll do it relatively quickly, and there won't be an opportunity for you to review these documents with your attorney. That's not going to happen. Thankfully, if you purchase in the state of Florida, you are afforded a 10-day period to rescind. So if you've bought a timeshare and you get home and within that first 10 days, you want to think about it and think twice about it, give us a call right away. We'll help you exercise your right to rescind. It's very easy to do. Once that 10-day window closes, though, then it's not quite so simple. And that's when you get yourself into some trouble.
But at least you have time to show it to an attorney like yourself, though.
Yes, if you act quickly. Unfortunately, what happens for most people is they leave the sales presentation and they're very excited about the timeshare they've just bought. And some people, enjoy timeshare and use it successfully for a period of time, and that's fantastic. But what the problem we hear from clients is with the timeshare product is it really is not a way to get out. So for whatever reason, there can be a whole host of reasons. As we were saying, health or financial or otherwise, you might not want the product any longer. And really, timeshare is unique. It's not like any other asset I can think of. If you buy a house and you outgrow the house, or now maybe you're an empty nester and it's too big of a house, you have an asset you can sell. And you go on the market and maybe you get appreciation, maybe you don't, depends on the time and where you live and all those factors. Same thing with a car. Maybe you bought a fancy car and your financial situation changes. Now you need to downgrade. You still have an asset that you can sell. But timeshares, by and large, they're not an asset others will willingly buy. You can check that for yourself. You can go on eBay, take a look, and you'll see scores of timeshares for sale for dirt cheap, $100, maybe $1. And that should give you a bit of a warning that no one really wants to buy the timeshare from you. There is no effective secondary market for timeshares. And this is really where the rub comes in if you want to get out.
Andy, you're not anti-timeshare. You're there to help people who want to get out of their timeshare.
I am most certainly not anti-timeshare. Timeshare
You've
is
always
big
talked
business.
highly of timeshares.
Timeshare is big business in Florida. And of course, one of the number one things that Florida offers people is a great vacation experience. And that's what as a Floridian, lifelong Floridian, we want to see that. We want people to be happy. So no, timeshare is not necessarily a bad thing. The problem, though, and this is what we counsel people about, is what to do at the back end. There are certain timeshare developers that will work with you. This is something else that we want to make sure people understand. The first step, if you've decided that the timeshare isn't working for you, the first step is to contact the developer, the person, the entity that you've bought your timeshare from. You really reach out to them first, because some timeshare developers are more cooperative, more understanding, in a better position to help. And if you can resolve it that way, that is the best route to go. The cautions that I would give to people doing that is oftentimes when you call the timeshare developer, they're using that as an opportunity to do upsells, to try to get you to buy more of the product. And so if you've made a decision it's not right for you, be very careful if you're calling the developer and now they're trying to convince you to buy more of something that just a little while ago you didn't want any of. So that would be my only caution. But still, it's an absolutely worthwhile call to make. That's your first step. If you do that and you find yourself unhappy, that's when I would urge you to reach out to us or a lawyer that you know, and they can reach out to us and we can provide some advice on what to do next.
Well, we just got a text from a listener wanting to know, what if you bought a timeshare in Mexico? And we've talked about this before.
Yes, Mexico is a tough situation because it's, as you know, it's an entirely different sovereign nation with its own laws and its own court system and its own lawyers. So if you're a U.S. citizen, you bought a resort in Mexico, you can give us a call. We may be able to help you. There are some Mexican resorts that will work with us. or with you here in the U.S. But other resorts, we just really don't have a lot of recourse. It's not as though you can just file a lawsuit over there in Mexico and expect to get results. It's a totally different ball game. So it's tough. I won't say categorically that you're out of luck, but it's a real tough one if you bought in Mexico and you're unhappy.
Same thing in Jamaica, Andy?
Yes, the same type of thing. Yes, it really is. I mean, what people sometimes will be critical of the court system and the lawyers and all that, but really, we truly do have the best legal system, I think, in the world. And so when you have a problem, hiring a lawyer, maybe taking your dispute to court, you've got a chance. You really do. That you can't say that necessarily for some of these other places around the world where you might buy a timeshare. So you just have to be really careful. But it's I don't want to say all hope is lost. Definitely, there are some resorts that work with us out of Mexico, but it's a difficult one for sure.
I would think that if someone was trying to handle themselves versus an attorney, I think somebody with an attorney is going to get a lot more attention than someone who's trying to handle themselves. Do you find that to be true?
Yes, so that's very true. We find a lot of reason to talk with folks. First, a lot of people don't understand what they own. Oftentimes we have clients contacting us because they want out of a particular timeshare, and it turns out when we finally get all the documents and take a look at what they have, they've done several upgrades, and they may actually own 2 or 3 or more timeshares, and they didn't understand that. Sometimes people don't understand what they're paying for. So we're right now entering into what we call maintenance fee season. So if you're a longtime timeshare owner, around this time of year, you're going to get that annual bill from your timeshare requiring you to make your annual maintenance fee payment. And people oftentimes don't understand why they're getting that and what does that mean? Why is it going up? And what can I do about it? And so this is the thing about timeshare. It's a complicated transaction that involves the sale of real estate. So now you own a parcel of real estate, kind of like a condominium. And if you know anything about condominiums, you get those maintenance fee requirements. That's the same for most timeshare products. And there's, of course, all kinds of obligations that come if you want to try to sell the timeshare. People who say, hey, I'd love to transfer this timeshare to somebody else, maybe to a family member. But you got to understand in the contract, there may be prohibitions against you transferring that timeshare. Some developers have what they call as a first right of refusal, and they want to have the opportunity to take the timeshare back before you transfer it to someone else. You have to jump through all the hoops. So we like to get a hold of the documents and help people understand what do they own, what are their obligations, and what are their choices going forward. What can they do?
Andy, give everybody your phone number.
So you can reach us toll free at 855-346-6529. That's 855-346-6529. And we're happy to give you a free consultation. Yep. Yes, FinLaw.
And I want to talk about that when we come back, about cost and everything. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we'll be coming back with attorney Andrew Meyer, who's with the FinLaw Group. We're talking getting out of your timeshares tonight. Not trying to sell you one, getting out of one. We'll be right back.
If you're a timeshare owner, you've likely been bombarded with advertisements on radio or TV to buy, sell, or cancel your timeshare. Some of these commercials often play on emotion and fear of the unknown. You deserve to know your rights as a consumer, and if you have a timeshare problem, the FinLaw Group can help. With the FinLaw Group and attorney Andy Meyer, over the last 10 years, our firm has been assisting individuals just like you resolve their disputes with timeshare companies. Getting out of a timeshare isn't easy, but it can be done legally and professionally with an attorney who will fight for your rights. We are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and have earned the trust and respect of our clients for over a decade with a team of attorneys and a combined experience of over 75 years of practice. Timeshare problem? We can help you today. Give the FinLaw Group a call for a completely free, no obligation consultation at 855 346 6529. That's 855 346 6529. Appointments are available by phone or Zoom.
We are back now with more of the Ask the Experts radio show, proudly sponsored by board-certified family law attorney Tina Lewert of Lewert Law LLC, covering South Florida.
Thank you, Don. This is the Ask the Expert show. This is our 7th year on the same station, 1470 AM, 96.9 FM, 103.5 FM, and we still have many of the same experts who originally started with us. If you have a business and you would like to be one of our experts, you can give us a call at 954-336-3767. We have our timeshare shows. And we're not, no, we're not selling you a timeshare. We're going to give you some ideas and what to do if you need to get out of your timeshare. We're here with attorney Andrew Meyer with the FinLaw Group. And the FinLaw Group, I mean, they handle cases all over the United States. They're out of Florida. Andy, last time you were on, we started to talk about timeshares today and the difference, what most people think of timeshares.
That's right. So when people think of timeshares, I think they think mostly about a unit and week. So you think about a place you like to go to on the beach, and maybe you picked out the unit that's right next to the pool with the great view of the water, and you're going to go back to that same place year after year. Well, that's not the way timeshare is sold today. Today, timeshare is really emphasizing points. And some timeshare developers just do nothing but sell you points, but all timeshares still retain some throwback to their origins and having this real estate interest. And so it makes them a very kind of unique and hybrid thing that you're buying. You have this real estate component, but you're also buying points. And the idea behind the points is that you can use those points to make reservations at other resorts and have the flexibility to travel to other places. You're not necessarily stuck to one location. And that makes for an interesting concept, and it can work for people in the right circumstances for sure. But the problem on the backside is, what do you actually own and what are you able to sell if you want out? And if you have only points, you don't really have much to sell. And if you have a timeshare interest that you traded in for points, and you don't, maintain your timeshare contract in good standing, what's going to happen? You're going to lose access to those points and effectively have nothing. So it's a complicated product nowadays, and people don't necessarily understand how it works or what they actually own and how to get out from underneath it if they want to. And that's what we help people to get their arms around.
Well, I am really upset. I just got a text from a listener saying that Andy's cute. Well, what about me? How about me? And I was, we don't, I don't even know why I read that, but someone just texted us. Andy, let's talk about maintenance fees. Why do people have to pay maintenance fees? I mean, this is not an association.
It's confounding to me. I don't understand it. You'd have to ask somebody in the timeshare industry as to why it makes sense. Doesn't make sense to me. If what you're really owning is points, and if the idea is you're supposed to be able to use those points and make reservations at different resorts, why would you be paying maintenance fees for a particular resort, for a particular unit and week that you're probably never going to actually use? But that's the way that it's structured, and that is a very lucrative moneymaker for the timeshare industry, is those never-ending maintenance fee obligations. And what's difficult about that for the consumer is if you can be sued for unpaid maintenance fees, and a timeshare developer can come after you for not having paid those maintenance fees. So it's one of those things that you don't think about at the time when you're buying the timeshare, that you're obligating yourself under the contract to a never-ending obligation to pay maintenance fees, and for a failure for which you can be sued. It's a tough proposition.
Andy, what if, like, if you're an association and you've got something major that happens to the property, it's all split between all the owners. Does that work the same way with timeshare?
It does. That can happen.
Oh, you're shaking your head. Oh my God.
Yes, you can absolutely see special assessments. That is absolutely a problem for timeshare. And that's really, in my opinion, and why you see this change in the way timeshares are sold, is because you have a lot of older resorts that are facing those expensive repairs, and their options are, not very attractive. They don't want to have to do special assessments to their owner base. So what will happen typically is a larger resort will acquire that property and bring it in and revamp it, but then make it subject to their rules and conditions. So we see this from time to time. Someone that owned an older resort, very happy with what they owned, and then suddenly that was acquired by a large timeshare developer and put into the rotation where points owners could use it. And suddenly what was, maybe quaint and not all that heavily used is crowded and packed and not so quaint anymore. But why is that happening? That's happening because of what you're talking about. The maintenance of the resort, the older buildings, is getting to be so expensive that resort doesn't really have the resources to do so, and there's an economic incentive to sell, to a larger timeshare developer that can sink that kind of money into upgrading. And this is the thing. Like, you didn't think of that when you bought it maybe 15 years ago. That wasn't in the cards. You didn't, but here you are now. And are you stuck on this roller coaster ride, or do you want off? And that's when we can help you think about, what can you do? Are there options available for you?
Well, Andy, we only have a few more minutes. I want to ask you, God, I have seen so many ads for companies saying timeshare exit companies, but they don't look like they're law firms. Like yours is a law firm.
Yes. Yes. And
what
so,
is
Steve,
the difference?
I want to tell you, just today, this afternoon, I had a very interesting opportunity to attend a court hearing by phone in Denver, Colorado. In the bankruptcy court, a timeshare exit company has filed for bankruptcy, and this was a hearing to examine the debtor. And there were at least 100 people on the phone. The bankruptcy trustee said the phone system could only handle 100, and after that, it cut everybody off. These were all people who had hired this company and had looked for help, had a money-back guarantee, and now the company is in bankruptcy. And,
Wow.
the news to be delivered at this hearing was there's massive liabilities and very few assets. So you as the consumer are pretty much left holding the bag. And it turns out that, these were non-lawyers, and now that their business model doesn't work, they drop the mic and you're left with your timeshare and being out the money. So you got to be really careful when you're out there shopping around for entities that are non-lawyers. They're exit companies. They don't have the same obligations to you that lawyers do, and they can't offer you legal advice. They're not allowed to do so. One of the things an exit company will often do is hire a lawyer for you in the background. You won't know who they're hiring. They may or may not tell you. They won't let you talk to that person. You have to go through the exit company. Goodness gracious. Why would you want to hire a lawyer that way? Hire the lawyer directly.
Yeah.
Then if you
That's
what he or
all the
she's
hands in
doing,
the pot too.
that's right. And you can pick up the phone and yell at them, or call the Florida
Right.
bar. You got something to do. You got some recourse. But hiring a company to hire you a lawyer now, and you don't know who they are. You don't know how to pick them. You don't know if they're trustworthy. So this is the problem with the exit company. You got to be really, really careful with that. And they say, Steve, look, it's easy, it's quick, it's guaranteed. It's none of those things. It's not going to be
No
easy.
kidding.
It's not quick, and it's certainly not guaranteed. nobody can make you a guarantee that you're going to get out of the timeshare. You just can't make that
And to
guarantee.
give everybody your phone number. The name of the law firm is Finn Law, Finn, Finn Law. This is attorney Andy Meyer. And Andy will be back with us again next month. Give everybody your phone number.
Absolutely. Give us a call at 855-346-6529, 855-346-6529. Happy to talk with you for a free consultation.
Andy, this is like the easiest show to do. We'll see you again next month. We're going to go to break, and we come back. We have the Gaines Law Firm, a real estate firm that does foreclosures. Andy, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Take care.